Sure, and then
I'll send you an email.
All
right, you just tell us when, Tyler.
We are ready to go.
Okay, I'm going to hit record then. Okay, I have started the recording, so go ahead, Kurt.
I literally have to press the start button and then I don't atone.
You're hilarious.
You're up, Brad.
Well, remember, if you can't hear me or I break up, let me know. So we'll call the meeting to order at the Coos Bay Public Library Board of Trustees. I don't believe we have any public, and we haven't got any comments yet on our live streaming. We probably don't have any public comments. Minutes and circulation report. Why don't we start with the minutes? That came out. Has anybody had a chance to look at them? And do you have any questions or corrections?
No, I needed quiet because I was talking on the meeting.
I move we approve the minutes.
I second.
Okay. I was just under the new business steering committee. The last line of that paragraph, it said the foundation will discuss and make a recommendation to the city council. That probably should be the steering committee.
Oh, yes.
Will discuss and make recommendations to the city council. And assuming that we do that, all those in favor of accepting the minutes say aye.
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Okay.
Because they
Good.
tell me and I can
Circulation reports. Let's look at page 2 first. That's the one that's the short page. The July 2020 report starts with the number of items added to 573. What do you think? Anything you see there you want to talk about or ask about?
Look at the gate count. We actually have a gate count now. It's pretty exciting.
This is Rob. I actually have a question. I'm trying to learn here. So when it says total items checked out, does that include like stuff on the Libby app?
No, that's just physical items. And then you'll see a couple lines down where it says total digital downloads. That's just for our Hoopla account because we can, it's just for Coos Bay, we can actually count that and know how many we get. The amount of stuff through the county, the overdrive, that's reflected in my report, and that's a lump sum. We do.
I don't see the total digital download on there.
On page 2, it is third row or third line from the bottom.
Okay. I was on the wrong page. Never mind.
So we can keep exact stats on the Hoopla ones, but the ones that we share with the countywide, we know the total for everyone each month, and then at the end of the year, we basically divvy it up by percentage of circulation, percentage of regular circulation. We have to have some sort of a measurement, so we do it that way.
So I don't want to take up too much time in the meeting. So if this is a longer discussion, you can email me or something. But can you explain what Hoopla is?
Sure. Hoopla is an app that the Coos Bay Public Library provides for patrons in the Coos Bay and the Allegheny zip codes, because that's our service area. And what it does is you could do downloadable audiobooks, downloadable ebooks, music, graphic novels, television shows, and movies. And it's basically an on-demand one. There's different licensing models, and Hoopla goes with the licensing model of pay per use. So if all 6 people wanted to read one book at once, they all have immediate access to it. Our other service we provide, Library to Go, is a different licensing model, and it's 1-for-1. It's basically like if there was a book on the shelf, only one person at a time gets to read War and Peace, and the rest of the people have to wait. So those are they run on 2 different models, just because of the way the licensing works. So.
Yeah, and the Library to Go, that's the big disadvantage of Library to Go, because
unfortunately it is.
You just have to wait forever sometimes to try to get something. But Hoopla's cost the library money too for every time somebody
Right.
checks an item, but it's reasonable, and particularly in these pandemic times, it gives people access that they wouldn't normally have elsewhere.
And it's really cost-wise not out of line at all. I mean, most of the things provided are $1 per checkout, $1.49. Some of the newer, hotter titles can be a little more expensive, but generally I don't think any of them go above $3.50-ish per circ.
But it doesn't cost the patrons anything?
It costs the patrons nothing, no.
It's a great service.
And we just build it into as part of our collection, management. We just budget out a line item for digital materials like that. But,
hopefully old fogies learn how to use that.
well, somebody knows how to use it because people are using it.
I think Steve's a big user.
I use it.
He's an old fogey.
One question I had on there, total monthly visitors, it's got 2,924.
Are we counting those the visitors for Crystal for the programming too?
Yeah, the virtual. Yeah.
So it's virtual, people that do it virtually too.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
That's our programming numbers also in there.
And I know we've had a couple of Red Cross events there. Would those people go down there as well?
They should be in that total
Yes.
monthly visitor number too. Yeah.
All right. Cool. Any other questions on that page at all? Page 2? Okay, now just to confuse you, let's go to page 5. And that's the one that's basically has some of the same information, a little more detail.
And you'll see there was a report error, which we're trying to get fixed on the number of discards, which has not been fixed yet, but we're hoping to get a response soon about that, because it told us when Crystal ran the report, I think we had like 2 or 3 discards, which we know we've had a few more than that. Not a ton more, but a few more.
One. We had one.
Oh, we had one. Okay. Well, I know we've discarded more than one.
Mhm.
So we'll hopefully get that fixed and get that caught back up.
So is the discard process a year-round ongoing process?
Yes.
Okay, so you can expect to see some on each monthly
Each
report.
month. It ranges everything from, oops, this patron dropped it in their bathtub, so we have to discard it, to, they just wear out sometimes and can't be fixed and that kind of thing. So yeah, there'll always be some discarding going on. You won't see the numbers like you did before, because that was the first big weed we've done in
Right.
a long time. It'll be much smaller numbers from now on out.
Any other questions on that page? I was just going to say down at the bottom, fines. I thought we were fine free.
We are, but some people still pay them
Okay.
or give us money towards them.
That was a book that was lost.
Oh, okay.
We're still doing lost and damaged items.
But it didn't show up in damage and lost. It showed up in fines.
Yeah.
Oops. Wrong line.
Thank you, Karen.
Do we have any other questions on any of that? Okay, we can go to I guess page 6, which is Memorial Funds checking account.
Mm-hmm.
I want to know why James hasn't paid that $13.30 yet.
Well, I don't know. It's probably because I wouldn't call him back, supposedly.
Yeah, there's always that, but I think I really have to come down and do it just so I can get that off my mind. Because when they said that $15.99 there was in the wrong place, I said, well, hell, they could have put that over there on that $13 and whatever it was.
I know. It's mayhem.
Yeah. You don't get that fixed, James, you may lose your halo.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, I'm about to turn it back on because it's getting a little dark over in this corner.
So we are still buying some programming supplies, but obviously not nearly, what we had been. We did renew the state park backpack passes. So you can see that line item in there. But yeah, nothing really out of the ordinary.
And I probably should know that the Ivy and Green Memorials, what exactly are they? What exactly was that? Ivy Memorial, Green Memorial.
Memorial Green. Oh, those were people who'd passed away, I believe. And we had kind of one-off donations in their name.
Okay. It was a disbursement. That's the reason why I asked.
Yeah, usually what we do is we'll buy a book that they would have had interest in.
Cool.
And so then we plate it for them and it goes into the collection.
Okay. Anything else on that page from anybody? Okay, well, skip over the librarian's report in the package, which is 7 and 8 and page 9, and go to page 10, which is the budget stuff.
Yeah, and page 10 is the end of the last fiscal year. So it was ended June 30th. So this was kind of what we were waiting for at last meeting. So you can kind of see where we ended up.
This is the official end of year report.
The audit hasn't been done yet, but pretty darn close to official.
Okay.
Once it's audited, it will be official, but essentially, yes. So that's where we ended up. We did really well. Our carryover did well. Our expenses stayed. We ended up total materials and services 63.8%. So of the budgeted total. So overall, we did well. Our carryover is healthy, which is probably a really good thing, considering times ahead are a little uncertain. So I'm very pleased about that.
Anybody
The second,
okay,
I'm sorry.
On the total year one, I have a couple. Okay. Sammy, under federal grants, which is 0303.
Yes.
It says period actual, and then it has the 35,960.33 there. Is that because we have an outstanding grant request? Is that the reason why it's in there, or why is that figure the way that it is?
I wonder if they put. I bet they put. We received some funding through some federal COVID funds, and that actually looks like a. Oh no, that's the other one below. Okay. The 41,000 below that is COVID funds we received as part of Federal CARES Act. The federal grants, I'm not sure why they have that in there like that.
Yeah, and it's in parentheses too.
Right.
Well, it almost looks like an offset of the COVID funds.
So I'm wondering.
Sammy, remember Kathy Erickson had told you about a grant to write for that? That wasn't the COVID one, was it?
No, this is different.
Was it for $35,000?
No, the one we wrote was 100. Christina, do you remember our total on that?
It was
that the library
around
services grant?
150,000.
Yeah, and we haven't heard yet on that.
Substantially larger.
Yeah.
Was that the library services grant?
It was under the LSTA CARES grant is the one we applied for, but we have not heard back on it yet.
Well, there's a library services grant that was made a note of in the minutes.
That's the one we applied for. Yeah, but we have not heard if we've received it yet.
Is that the one that comes under the CARES Act, though?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
You know, if you look at those two lines, the federal grants and the federal other financial assist, they almost totally offset each other. You've got a negative 41,495 on the unearned on the federal other financial assistance. You've got a $5,000 budget, and then you've got the negative 35,960 on the federal grants. So
yeah, I will check.
Those all add up together. They're almost the same amount.
Yeah. The thing that's confusing to me, and I'm assuming this right, Bob, is that when they put it in parentheses, it's not a negative. When they put it in parentheses on this revenue page, it's actually a positive. So, for example, if you look at year-to-date actual for library tax base, it's about $1.4 million. We budgeted 1.15, so we're actually $293 and $545 ahead. So it's actually a positive as opposed to a negative.
No, it's not, Kurt. If you look at total revenue from other agencies and under that column, you'll see 68,570. So those two numbers and the federal grants offset each other. There's only 5,000 added between those two lines.
Well, I won't belabor the point, because you're looking at the actual period, which would be June.
I'm looking at the total for that column.
Yeah, which is for the month of June.
Right?
Yeah.
I can double check with finance and see how they divvied
That's
those
the
two out.
negative number is what I'm saying, Kurt.
Yeah, I got you. And I'm looking at the unearned column where it becomes a positive number, I guess. Maybe that's the reason why the parentheses throw me off so much.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, we beat that poor dead horse.
Well, the way I see it is that there was $5,000 in the budget for federal grants, and it looks like it's just an accounting thing to account for that 5,000.
Yeah.
To make it balance out.
Right, Rob. Right.
Could be.
Well, anyway, we did get the federal COVID money, which was nice. The end of that tale is we got reimbursed for a bunch of COVID things. So
the one last thing that I'll mention on this one, hopefully I don't cause any discussion of that use. Use of money or property, the interest in the auditorium rental. You know, when we look at the pages for the upcoming month of July and what we budgeted in there, some of those things, especially the auditorium rental, may be an income drop.
oh yeah, they're going to take a big hit.
We're not doing that. So when I looked at this, I thought there's probably a few categories where we're probably a little optimistic for this next year where we think our income's going to come from.
Well,
So
that's
it's good to have a large area.
exactly. That's why I'm happy that ended up, the carryover ended up so nice.
Does anybody have any questions that they would like to cause confusion about on the expenditures for the year to date? I noticed we didn't pay as much as we budgeted for contractual, for example, and that's what was that again? Is that guard or what is that?
Well, that part of what is included in there is security, and so we let's see, what do we have? Most of March didn't have that expense, none in April, and then we went back hardly any in May. So that was a big chunk that wasn't spent out of what was budgeted for that. So.
All the library staff, including like part-timers, pages, whatever, that comes out of salaries.
All that comes out of salaries, yeah. The security is in contractual.
And I noticed we didn't spend all of our book or periodical money.
Probably not, no. We tried our darndest, though, I'll tell you that. Periodicals are dropping because they are self-weeding. We set an amount each year, what we think, and then many of them go out of business by the end of the year, so drops off.
That's true. Okay.
So.
If no other questions, we can go to the next two pages, 13 and 14, which are the first month of the new fiscal year.
Right. And that, obviously not much action in the first month. So. Yeah, a great deal of our income hasn't happened yet. But you're right. Our auditorium rental is probably not going to fulfill the $3,500 we had hoped. So.
I thought under current services, we might also go down on copies and library fees.
Oh, yes, I'm sure we will too.
Yeah. And we had $19,000 budgeted in there as well. So.
Yeah.
Interesting.
But luckily, those particular revenue streams aren't as important as some of the others. So,
well, clearly, so clearly, we need to have more voluntary fines.
well, we do have a donation jar out now for people like copies and stuff like that. So, we'll see what happens.
Isn't the carryover going to end up being greater than $900,000 though?
It probably will be. That was the estimate. before a lot of interesting things happened. So.
Yeah, because we were $253,000 to good from last year. And forget budget stuff, just total income and total expenses. At the end of the year, we were $253,000 to the good, plus whatever else that we had as far as carryover was concerned.
Right.
So, yeah, I think we're probably in pretty good shape. So,
yeah.
But on the revenue side again too, down in other revenue, in miscellaneous, we always used to carry the ESO rental.
Right.
And now we have an ESO rental line. But yet we had $2,174 in miscellaneous, which looks suspiciously like the ESO rental.
What page number are you on?
13.
13?
Thank you.
13 down towards the bottom.
Okay, thanks.
Yeah, I'll make sure that they didn't accidentally move it to the wrong line item there. Because you're right, it does suspiciously look like it should be on the next line down.
That's what I thought when I looked at it. Okay, if there are any other questions about the revenues on page 13, expenditures are on page 14. Let me take a look there.
You can see we've already blown our office supply budget, but a lot of that is for the mailing items, which will balance itself out with some of the other line items we aren't using.
We haven't had any postage expense.
We buy it bulk at a time, so the next one will show up. You'll see a huge jump in it the next time.
Okay.
Yeah, I believe it's a Pitney Bowes metering machine, isn't it, Sammy?
Yeah, we buy
We
like
do,
So you
we do
just have
4,000 at a time.
right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sammy, on the insurance line,
Yes.
2120, we budgeted 25,000. We spent a little over 15,000. Last year was 14,540. Do we really expect to spend more? Really up to that 25,000?
I don't think so. And insurance is constantly fluctuating. So I usually they take it out all at once, which it looks like they did. The only other insurance, no, that should take care of it all.
Yeah, because that would be the 15,757 would be about $1,200 increase over the previous year. So that's probably about right. And that insurance covers what?
That insurance covers the contents of the building. So the collection, equipment, that kind of thing.
All right.
What is the actual insurance amount that we have coverage for? In other words, what's the potential payout maximum?
I have no idea. I would have to ask the city what they insured it for.
Just curious. Maybe you could find out. Thanks.
Some things the city self-insures us for, don't they?
Yes.
We're part of, what is it, city and county insurance. So it's a self-insuring pool of various entities. So.
When Sammy, when we, for example, lose books to a leaky roof, is that something we file a claim for?
If it's over a certain amount beyond the
deductible.
Thank you. Because we've had like a window broken out before, but it didn't meet the deductible amount type thing. So.
Okay, thanks.
Well, it's just like health insurance.
Exactly. And every other insurance, right?
I notice we have two new lines in here too. And one of them I totally understand is for the police vehicle that we're now using. Maintenance and fuel, which we didn't have before.
Correct.
But then there's a programming line too.
Right.
2241, and that's a new line too. What do we expect the expenditures to be in there?
Well, we've always relied on the Friends for programming money, and they've always been very generous, on being able to provide it. But when we were planning our budget this last year, it just kind of came up that we can't. I mean, that's a poor way to plan, because should the Friends shut down, then we're out of luck. Well, it kind of happened, and I'm glad we did plan for some of our own programming money, because the Friends, have been having sales, but they're nowhere close to what they were before and that kind of thing. So they're not going to be able to provide us with the support they normally do. So that was one of the reasons I wanted a dedicated, for sure, line in our budget for programming. Is, it's risky to rely on 100% on another group to fund such an important part of the library too. So we have that money, but we do have the money that the Friends will donate too. So we do have a dual income stream for our programming.
Something that I apparently have missed is this police vehicle. What is this about, please?
Oh, we received the police, once they get to a certain mileage or whatever they determine to replace them. We have been doing in the past year or two, we've been doing a lot more outreach where we go places, and we were having to depend on people use their personal vehicles, which isn't fair, and isn't, and increases liability for the city. So one day in a meeting with the chief, he was talking about surplusing a couple vehicles, and I said, hey, you want to surplus one of those to the library? And so they basically just donated over one of the retired police vehicles, and we had it decaled for the library.
Oh, where does that sit? I haven't seen it.
In the parking lot.
I'm gonna look.
Yeah. And sadly, they took away the siren and the lights from me.
Well, I was gonna ask about that. Yeah.
But they did leave us the spotlights. I haven't figured out if they work still, but they look cool.
They do have spotlights on both sides.
Yeah,
yes.
and it's got a little bit of pickup to it if you hit it just right.
I'm sure it does.
Be careful, we don't want to get tickets. But yeah, that's our new library mobile. And
how often does it get used?
Well, we use it every Friday when we go to. We're now doing our pickup and drop off at the two fire stations. We use it there. Becca's been using it throughout the summer to go do free book giveaways at the lunch sites. What else have we used it for? Well, before COVID, we planned on using it for sending people to training and that kind of thing. But say that hasn't happened. But I don't know, it gets used. Probably
so now I see what they were talking about.
Yeah.
After your first leaving of the parking lot, we heard that your new nickname was Smoking Sammy.
But I mean, it's been really nice.
With a straight face.
We still have, in case we need it, we still have the shotgun rack in the side in case anything's needed. But it's been nice. I mean, it was really nice of them to.
Did they leave the reinforced doors in?
Actually, the back doors have no door panels in them and no door handles because don't want anybody getting out.
But sometimes they because police vehicles are modified in the door panels, so you can't shoot through them very well.
I don't know. I haven't had anybody test it on me yet.
You can always ask Jerry.
Yeah, but it's nice because it's got obviously a big cargo space because we haul tables and books, crates of books and all sorts of things. And our idea also was to be able to take it down to the market, which obviously didn't happen again this year. But, we have lots of uses for it in the future, but we are using it currently too for several things.
All right, great.
And it does look really nice. The decals and everything are really nice. They have the new logo stuff from the marketing plan that was done before, and it really does look real nice. But so, in insurance for that, is the city covered or do we cover it?
We cover our portion of it. It's pooled together, all the city vehicles are together, and we pay our percentage of it, whatever one vehicle costs for that.
All right, cool. I always forget whether I should ask this or not, but I probably should. Do I have a motion to approve the financial reports?
So moved.
So moved.
I heard a second from somebody.
Steve and Bob.
Okay, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Next time we'll do thumbs up or something, okay? So that's and we don't have any correspondence, do we, Sammy?
No, we don't.
So we need the librarian's report.
Okay. Let me find my librarian's report here. Okay. So, as you can see, we're tracking our attendance and stuff as best we can on our various programs. The community cooking with the co-op is really doing well. We've gotten a lot of feedback about that. People are really enjoying that. Like I said, we've been doing the lunch site book giveaways. We had a lot of books for summer reading prizes, and things are. And well, actually, we had a lot left over that we were going to take to the fair this year, and that got canceled. So we took it out to the schools instead, and are giving those away. Yeah, and we're just we're doing the best we can, getting things online, developing new programs for online. We still are sending out the STEAM kits to the kids each month. So yeah, things are going well, programming wise, I think.
Sammy, question?
Yeah.
On the first page, the Evan and Vanessa bilingual kids program had 1,910 views.
Yes. They did it originally as a live Facebook event, and then we also uploaded it to our YouTube channel, and people have continued to view it and view it and view it. So it's really nice.
Cool. Thanks.
I actually think the attendance on some of it's so tough to get public information out that people are aware of some of these things. Like I really, and somebody who brought their child to story time all the time at the library had no idea that it was online.
Yeah. Well, we're trying. Yeah, and that's the nice part about being able to record a bunch of things and leave it up, is that people, they may end up hearing about one and then stumble upon the rest of them and that kind of thing. Or if you just can't attend at a certain time, you can still see it.
Okay. Other questions?
Sammy, on Hoopla, you indicated again in this report, reflecting the numbers above on page 2, that there were 299 circulations. Are we at a stage where, I know we went up from 4, I think it's now 6 per card, per account, 6 checkouts per month. Is that something that you're looking at increasing, or is it pretty much where you think it should be? What's up on that?
I think we're going to leave it where it is now, because we're going to wait until after school starts and see what kind of access the kids need to books and things like that online. And that way we can provide more to more people, but we'll wait and we'll reevaluate it probably after school gets going a little bit and see if that's helping those patrons, or how we need to do that. So
one of the reasons behind asking my asking is, I know there are other services too, like Canopy is one that's used quite a bit. I know up in Multnomah County that I think Canopy is probably considered the best option. Is that something that you've looked at? Or, I know we have two. We have Library to Go because that's part of the setup. The county and the state has that. Is Canopy worth considering at some point?
Canopy is only videos.
Right.
And so we have looked at them before. We looked at them actually as a countywide service, and we weren't able to get the service we needed from them for those purposes. We haven't, it's interesting watching the statistics on Hoopla, for instance. They have a lot of, the videos and the TV show, and people don't use them that much. And so we've looked at it before, but it was something we could reevaluate too. It's also, unfortunately, kind of expensive per view. And so...
yeah, I'm not requesting that. I'm just curious because I know with Hoopla, I'm very happy with Hoopla, but the resources I use in connection with Hoopla are simply the audiobooks.
That's what most people use it for, actually.
Yeah. Well, I've talked to people in the community in Coos Bay and Allegheny area. As that's come up with Hoopla, I've told people about it, and I've had 2 people now out of probably about 8 say, "Well, yeah, I've looked at it, but they don't have much of a selection." And I disagree. And I think it's that the way that user interface with Hoopla is, I'm not sure that when you do a search, you really get everything. I've gone through genre searches, for example. So I don't know if we want a tutorial or a brochure or something for people using Hoopla, but I think it could be helpful. So something to consider. I know we have a lot of things going, but I also think that's worth a look.
Okay. A Hoopla tutorial type thing?
Yeah, I had to drill down on it and kind of practice with it, and I'm finding new titles now that I hadn't found before.
Okay.
So, yeah. Okay, thanks.
Sounds good.
You know, Steve, since you use it an awful lot, you might even be able to maybe outline something for Sammy that would help her with figuring out how to maybe do that kind of presentation.
Yeah, sure. You know, if that would be useful, Sammy, get in touch with me later, email or call, whatever.
As far as the video thing that you're talking about too, you know, my experience is now everybody streams so much video from Netflix and Amazon and everything else. There probably isn't as big a demand for that as there is the audiobooks and ebooks. So Hoopla probably does a good job because of that. Sammy, go ahead, Steve.
Yeah, to a point, I think that's on the point. But I'm also thinking there are people in our community who may just squeak by with access to the internet, and their budget doesn't allow them to have a number of the streaming services. We have, for example, Netflix and Hulu and Amazon Prime. So we're sitting pretty for many videos. I think a lot of people don't necessarily have that. So, you know, but I think you make a good point, Kurt.
Yeah. Sammy, it wasn't in your report, but can you tell us a little bit about how the in-building visitations are going?
Oh, well, yesterday they were lined up like halfway around the building to get in. We've been averaging now about 50, 55 people in those 2 hours each afternoon. So we haven't gotten to the point where, you know, we've had to turn people away because there hasn't been enough time and space type thing. So I think right now we're kind of at a good balance. We have a lot of people right away at the beginning, and then it definitely tapers off towards the end of those 2 hours each time.
Yeah, so. The couple of times I've been down by the library, I have noticed those lines out there. And I mean, it's everybody. It's from old people, young people, families with kids. Mm-hmm. Everybody it's been quite a demand, and so it'll be interesting to follow that because, you know, at some point, if the usage goes up, I guess we may have to consider whether or not we're actually opening the building enough, and if it's possible to open it more. And maybe not.
Yeah, I don't know. We're watching, you know, we're just kind of watching everything as it goes. The one thing I do want to avoid is changing it too often and confusing people more. So currently we're kind of rolling steady with what we have, and then we'll see, you know, we'll evaluate it periodically to see how it's going.
When they do come in, Sammy, mm-hmm. What is the most common thing that they do while they're there on an in-person visit?
Oh, it's a variety. Just like when we were open regularly, people come in to fax something or get a copy of something or check out the new books or pick up their holds. I mean, just kind of like usual.
Okay. And speaking of holds, have we got the remote locations up and running yet?
Yes, we've done it 2 weeks now, and no, not tomorrow. Friday. Friday's our next round of it. We're doing a combination of book giveaway at those two because we have lots of books to give away. So we had families last week take part in that, which was nice.
Okay, and they're at the fire stations in both
places. Correct. At the East Side and the Empire fire stations.
Are very many people taking advantage of it, Sammy?
It's been a very slow start, but we anticipated it would be a slow start just because anything new, it takes a while to kind of sink in and get going. But
can they drop off? Can they drop off there too?
Yes, they can drop off their returns if they'd like also. Mm-hmm.
Okay, I didn't know that.
Yeah, they can pick up their holds or drop off what they do have checked out currently.
Excellent. Okay.
Sammy, I saw in the Coos Bay newsletter that we had a couple of vacancies. One was a driver, and then there's another one too.
Yeah, there's a vacancy through the ESO office for the courier van driver, and then we had a LA library assistant 2 position that we promoted somebody out of and we never refilled for most of last year, and we have decided to open it up and fill it in the new fiscal year. So
when do they close?
we closed that. We closed the library assistant position on Wednesday and started interviewing. We've been interviewing. The courier driver, I believe, closes Friday.
Did you get a bunch of applicants for the
We had a
assistant?
nice pool of applicants. We had, what,
17.
17? Yeah.
Mhm.
So
Good.
That's
It
good.
should be able to find somebody good out of that bunch.
yeah, it was nice to have a big enough pool to really feel like, we got a lot. So,
Okay.
and there's
Any
about most equivalent for the courier at this point.
Any other questions for Sammy? Okay. Marie's not with us, so she didn't give you any kind of friends report.
No,
They've
she
basically
didn't.
been inactive.
Well, we had another book sale on the 1st of July. No, August. What date was that?
August
My days
1st.
are running together. August 1st, we had another drive-through book sale, and then we made $350. Got rid of a lot of stuff, which was nice. So
Foundation report. I always make everybody else give it. So this time I'll make it short and brief since we've been running on. The foundation met after our last library board meeting, discussed a number of things. The biggest thing was
Kurt, I'm sorry to interrupt. Kurt, I can't. You're breaking up again. I don't know what's happening, but
I hear an echo again. So I don't know why.
now you're fine.
Okay, who knows? Anyways, basically what the foundation decided to do was to do an online fall fundraiser. And so that's what we're in the process of doing. It should be an experience, and something is better than nothing. And I'll bet we'll make it work one way or the other. So foundation has another board meeting tomorrow, and we're going to kind of see where we are in the trajectory of doing that. And I hear me breaking up again. Old business. Yeah.
Well, we postponed the elections of officers from last meeting, so now it's here.
So we need to do that. And as long as I'm not echoing, I guess I can talk. So currently I'm the president, Bob's the vice president, Kathy Erickson is the treasurer, and Lisa Pruis is the secretary. So what I will tell you that I did contact Kathy and Alyssa before the meeting to see if they were willing to serve again. And they both said that they were. So, we can start with that. We can see if there's any other nominations from the floor or what you all want to do.
I'll make a motion to keep the slate the same.
I
If
second.
that makes any sense.
I'll second that, Rob.
All right. We may have lost Mr. Robert Moore up there. I don't know. He looks a little too relaxed for me.
Quick, nominate him if you can't resist, right?
Well, hopefully he's okay. Mr. Moore.
Yeah. Yes, I'm here. I'm here.
Okay, well, let's see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 8, 5. Even without Bob's vote, we have a quorum. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Okay. All right.
Bob's okay with it too.
Well, I'm
Hearing no dissent from Bob.
Oh goodness.
I hope he's okay.
I always do a home visit if we have to. It's not far away. And Kurt, I have one more thing for old business that I forgot to, that has developed since I did the agenda. The bond measure, or I guess it's a semi-report on that. Well, anyway, it's a report on that. The bond measure, the council approved last night to move the measure from the May to the November 2021 ballot as a result of what PacWest presented and what the steering committee recommended to them. So.
Okay. New business.
Well,
And we have-
Kurt,
Oh, go ahead,
no,
Steve.
Go ahead.
Go ahead.
Steve.
Okay. I was wondering if we might briefly address the letter that was published from Charlotte Kupke earlier this month in the World. I sent that out this morning. I thought it was noteworthy because if it's true that a lot of people view it that way, that troubles me.
I don't think a lot of people view it that way, especially when we have lines around the building to get in to the physical building to get physical items.
So you don't have a concern knowing the individual in question, and you don't see
No.
a representative of the contingent that would say, let's look at the way
No.
Texas does it and just go online and close.
Yeah,
our
but you
building.
also have to look at how that failed in Texas too. So
Well, I agree, but
So.
I didn't know if you
Yeah.
felt this was a serious issue.
No, I don't feel
Okay.
like it's a serious issue.
Good enough for me. Thanks.
When it first came up in the paper, I talked to Sammy about it briefly when I was down at the library, and we discussed whether or not it was worthwhile to respond back in the paper. And we kind of decided no. Those back and forth in the paper things sometimes are kind of, they just muddy the waters and make things kind of pointless, to tell you the truth. I think if there are all of a sudden a slew of letters to the editor that are doing the same sort of thing, then I think it would be appropriate to get in there and respond to them. So, I'd much rather have a town hall meeting and have everybody ask us questions about the new library and explain why we need it than try to do this tit for tat in the newspaper. So at some point in time when we get ready for a bond, having a town hall meeting to just answer questions for the public may not be a bad idea.
Mhm.
So,
Okay.
I agree.
Thank you.
any other new business?
One other thing that has also developed since the agenda, we have two representatives on the Coos Library Board. One from inside the city limits of Coos Bay and one from outside the city limits of Coos Bay. And Frances Smith is our representative from inside the city, and her term was pushed also to September, but it's time to renominate a person for the Coos Library Board, and Frances has agreed to serve again. It does need the process the way the County Library Board is set up. This board needs to recommend to our city council a person, and then city council, if they approve it, then it goes over to North Bend City Council, who also approves it. Then it's sent up to the county where they approve it. So it's a multi-step process. But anyway, so we're starting the first step of it. Frances has agreed to serve again if this board wants to recommend that to City Council.
Sammy, how do you feel she's been doing?
She has been doing a fantastic job. She is a policy guru,
Representing
which is, yeah. And it's really nice to have somebody who really understands policies and procedures, because she worked for the county as their public health person for many years, so she was very familiar with policies and procedures, and she's been a great addition to the board, especially in that aspect.
Okay. Does anybody else know her?
And she's also a former librarian,
Okay.
so she understands library parts too. So
What's your last name again, Sammy?
Smith.
Oh,
Smith. Yeah.
Smith. Okay.
Yeah, her husband is a motorcycle rider.
Oh, I did not know that about Joe.
Now we can't afford it in.
Losing you, Kurt. Can't understand.
Does somebody want to know? Yeah.
I think he's asking if somebody wants to approve that nomination.
I would like to make
Okay.
a motion that we approve the nomination of Frances Smith to serve on the Coos County Board as a recommendation to the City Council.
Second, J.R. Moore.
Okay.
Thanks, Mr. Moore. All those in favor?
Aye.
Who's got to be present? Aye. Please say aye. Okay, we'll soon.
There we go.
Anybody opposed? Okay, all right.
I think Bob's abstaining from that.
No, hearing no
Yeah.
abstention
So-
from Bob. You approve.
So you can relay whenever it needs to go then, Sammy.
Okay, I will take it to the next step then for us.
Okay, cool.
Okay,
Anything else?
that is what I had in addition to what was printed.
Okay, all right. Time for our next meeting.
That is going to be September. Let me make sure I get the right day.
16th.
16th. Yep.
Okay.
So
Mark it
September
on
16th,
calendars, 5:15 p.m.
5:15. Yep. You'll get the invitation that says 5, but it will actually start at 15 after.
All right.
Okay.
Well, thank you all for attending this Zoom meeting. It was good to see you all. Can we remotely log Robert off?
It will when I turn off the meeting.
Will he be in the team meeting all night?
Poor Bob. He's still recovering. He's tired.
Yeah,
All right.
and
Well,
of
thank
course,
you, everybody.
it was Right.
Thank you.
everybody.
Thanks.
Bye now.
Goodbye, all.
Bye.
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 Bye.